All right.
Welcome. Good afternoon. Well, we don't know what afternoon where you are, but
It's not even afternoon
it's
where
not even
I am,
afternoon
so
where
speak
Vickie
for
is.
yourself.
Welcome to Creating
Just say
Connections
hello.
Podcast, episode 46. Hola.
That's
¿Cómo
definitely
estás, Ted? Today's,
fíjate cuando hables español.
huh?
Ni cuánto.
Oh, see, Vickie's the one that speaks Spanish.
No.
I look it, she speaks it. Go figure. Welcome to Creating Connections podcast
46?
episode 46. Yes. And today we're going to talk about that famous Natalie Merchant song, Jealousy. Did you like Natalie Merchant?
Good intro. Good intro. Not especially.
No, my wife does. She's kind of a big 10,000 Maniacs kind of girl, or originally liked them originally, and then Natalie Merchant branched off. But no, let's not stay on the 10,000
No.
Maniacs uh,
Focus.
question here.
Focus.
It's hard. I have a lot to do today.
I know. You
And
know you're in trouble when I'm the one telling us to focus.
exactly. So we have a group called Sales for Event Pros.
I know. I can't imagine who would name something like that.
I know, after an amazing book. Uh, but Sales for Event Pros is a group on Facebook. It's kind of a closed group. It's not open. We don't let just any Tom, Dick, and Harry in. You kind of have to have an affiliation in the wedding or event industry for us to let you in. And it pretty much allows you to have pretty much allows you to have a safe place to share tips on sales, on ways to
And
grow your business,
sales
and
challenges,
yeah,
things that experiences in the sales process.
yeah. So
And
Naveen Sharma, who has a company in Metro Detroit, posted just the other day. I don't know if this is a rant post or just a question or
yeah.
comment, but he met with a couple for dinner for a May 22nd Sunday wedding.
Hmm.
And he said, as usual, they tried to work him down on price, but they came to an agreement that was happy for all, charging around $3,000 for that Sunday evening for the event. And then the bride proceeded to tell him that their video plus photo team was charging about $10,500.
Yeah.
And in Naveen's head, he's like, I'm in the wrong business, There's venue cost and there's decorating and there's catering and he was just kind of venting a little bit.
Hmm.
He said I just don't know how people feel we are ripping them off as a DJ charging $3,000, but justify paying $10,000 for video and photo. Thoughts?
My first thought, and again, I know I see things as a mom first sometimes, and I can just hear my kids in my head saying, it's not fair. Why do, they get that and I only get this? And I think that's part of our human nature to be like, well, I want a bigger piece of the pie,
Right.
like they do. And while I get that that's a natural reaction, and a lot of us feel that way at times, that's just, it's not going to do anybody any good.
Yeah.
And I think if you can look at it and go, wow, they're working with some really high end professionals. I wonder who these photo and video people are. Could they become strategic power partners for me if they're working with the kind of clients that I want to be working at?
Yeah.
And so how do I connect better with them, and how do we make the most amazing event possible so that when they're showing off their $5,000 photos and their $5,000 video, they're also showcasing the entertainment and people are seeing high-end entertainment. So it's how can I partner with them, and it's how can I learn from them. Maybe they are doing something that I'm not doing in
Right.
regard to sales, marketing, performance, referrals, whatever
Yeah.
piece of the puzzle. Maybe I could learn from them. Maybe I, can't be complacent at where I am.
Yeah.
And maybe I could still challenge myself to grow.
Yeah.
So,
Are you going to collaborate or are you going to complain?
mm-hmm.
And it's just a case of And don't get me wrong, I understand it. And I used to work in that market for years. I was in the Metro Detroit market for 7 years, so I know it well.
Hmm.
And I've done a lot of Indian weddings, and Naveen does a lot of Indian weddings, so I understand the clientele as well that he's dealing with.
Yep.
But I also understand from a standpoint of you need to look at not the glass half empty, but the glass half full. And
Hmm.
how can you try to better yourself from this situation? So, yeah, you might be sitting there as a wedding pro and, you know, to yourself thinking, ugh, how can they charge that much? I can't believe it. How come I only getting this? You
Hmm.
know, but
Well,
that's in
and
your
to
head. You
Naveen's
can't,
credit, he didn't post this publicly.
yes,
And I do respect him for
absolutely.
that. He brought it to a private group where it was only going to be talked about with other event pros that are dealing with potentially the same kind of situation. And I applaud that, because people that just post that kind of stuff publicly on the Facebook, and they've got clients and other colleagues and other professionals
Yeah.
and everybody to see that, that's different. So I do applaud him for being honest with his feelings, because that's a totally legitimate way to feel and a way to
Yep.
react.
Yep.
But he did it in an appropriate format, and I appreciate that. So I do
Yeah.
want to give him credit for
And
for that.
we're not breaking client confidence here at all because we don't know who the client is or anything else like that or who the wedding pros are. And so we're not breaking any client confidence here, letting this information out for you. We're just hoping to share this experience with you so that you can learn from it. So the next time you have a high dollar planner or a high dollar decorator, you don't play that jealousy card, Natalie Merchant, right? Back to that. You're not
Yep.
playing the jealous card. You're playing the card of creating a connection, which is what this
Hmm.
podcast is all about. And how can you
Exactly.
collaborate? How can you network? How can you learn from these people who are maybe where you want to be? Maybe they're not the best from a performance side of things or the production side of things. Maybe you're better in that realm. But obviously, if they're commanding that kind of fee, they're better in the sales and marketing side, possibly.
Hmm.
And what can you learn from them in that regard? Maybe you can partner together. Maybe you can just invite them for lunch and chat about their business. I just had lunch with a photographer from my
Yep.
area just the other
Mention that.
day
Hmm.
and broke bread, and that's a big part of our book as well. The Creating Connections book is networking, and so
Yeah.
we encourage you to not don't play the jealousy card. Actually, think about how you can help the other person. How can they help you?
Well, and there's so many other things to consider. And rereading some of the comments in that thread, even before today's podcast, I guess part of me, maybe this is just me as someone who's owned a video company for almost 20 years, he's saying photo and video for $10,000. So it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 a piece.
Yeah,
So it's not like they're getting three times what you're charging.
right. Or
They
they get
guess it,
they get
you're
7 grand for the
you're
videographer and 3 grand,
yeah.
or vice versa, whatever.
Yeah, but it's
Um,
somewhere in that ballpark. And then you also have to deal with the fact that we're not selling the same thing.
yeah,
As entertainers, we're selling something completely intangible. And we have to work harder and process differently and ask really strategic questions,
yes,
because we don't necessarily have the same leverage as the people that, like, for print photography. These girls have been reading bride magazines since they were in elementary school, some of them, and then you add in just all of the visual of everything from, Pinterest, and they're seeing those images constantly. And there's not as much necessarily out there promoting the entertainment moments. People
yeah.
aren't realizing it. They get more hooked into the shoes and the jewelry and the dress and the flowers, and they think, oh, my photographer will be able to document all of that, and I'll have that forever. And we just have to work differently to sell moments, to sell
Well,
feelings, to
and
sell emotion.
it's
And
much easier to sell a tangible product than it is an intangible product.
mhm,
And I would strongly recommend, if you haven't picked up the book Selling the Invisible by Harry
yeah.
Beckwith, go get it today and read it cover to cover and read it again. And while you're at it, get Sales for Event Pros. Shameless plug. Uh,
I'm so good at those.
well, yeah. But the reality is that selling intangible is much tougher. And you need to focus on not what it looks like, which is what a lot of people look at, is what it looks
Mhm.
like. What does it
And that's
feel
easier
like?
for photos, for example.
Much easier.
Yeah.
But how does she want that moment to feel?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've been to other wedding receptions.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen for a first dance presentation? Well, I don't know. They just kind of go out there and they invite them to
What do you
dance.
mean presentation?
Well, yeah, that too. And so even the father daughter, mother son moments, like how do you compress 20 plus years of life into 4 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you're doing in that moment,
It's what you can be
unfortunately.
doing. It's what, but some people are just calling out a name and hoping dad's not in the bathroom.
Right.
And so we have that dynamic going on in the entertainment world too, is that there are people working against us
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. And so every wedding reception to me is, it's a blank piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do? What do you want to create? And to me, it's just so important when you're selling to differentiate yourself. And even just the other day in my office, I think I told you this story. Allison had a sales appointment here, and they were chatting.
Yes.
It was a few women that were involved, and I
Mm-hmm.
could tell that one of them was more the driver, what I call a driver. You'd call a
Mm-hmm.
red,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely wanted to dominate the conversation. And she goes, "Oh, so it's $1,500 for 6 hours of music?" And that was they're talking about one of our junior MCs. So I'm in the back, like literally right behind this wall is my office. So I walk around from the corner and I come out and I told her, I said, no, that's what it takes for us to guarantee you a successful wedding reception.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Now, ultimately, the couple didn't book.
Okay.
I just found out just the other day.
Yep.
Ironically enough, we have a meeting with a client tonight for the same exact wedding date, which will close us out.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm okay with it because sometimes the client's just not a right fit, right? I knew they were going to be
Yes.
stretching their budget just to have us.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But at least they got a chance to meet, and at least we got a chance to expose them to something different. So now, if they go to another wedding reception and they see us, or they see something different, they'll know that, well, that's what I could have had. And that's okay too, because we're
Yeah.
raising that public perception.
Mm-hmm.
We're raising the bar from that standpoint.
Yep.
It's all about creating connections. Don't get jealous. Uh, Work more from a collaborative effort than a combative
Yeah.
effort.
Well, and while it's okay to feel a certain way, it's
Yes.
what you do with it. And
Amen.
so yeah,
That's our
don't
advice
give.
on this
I just don't
topic.
want people to give up and get discouraged, but just those are those you should be thinking. I'm excited. I get to work with these high end professionals. What can I do to really wow them, to begin to build a connection there, and grow even more. So I can't wait to hear the follow up story. After the wedding takes place, definitely would like to see those $10,000 photos and videos.
Yeah, and there's talented people out there that can be charging that.
Yes,
And someone else asked in the
absolutely.
thread, well, can a DJ get $10,000 for a wedding DJ? Personally, I say no, and I know you differ on that a little bit.
I'm just saying that the client is always out there. Are they the norm? Probably not.
No.
You know. Um, but again,
However,
I don't think the photographer made $10,000 or the videographer were looking at an inflated number because they combined those services.
but here's the thing: you offer event planning into your services, and you can stretch and grow your business, and now all of a sudden you can have a package that's worth 10 grand
Mm-hmm.
when you're taking responsibility for the success of their reception
Yep.
or their event as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a market where you
And
can,
that may be a more fair comparison
yeah,
because it's entertainment and planning.
yes,
Or it's maybe even if you separate out the MC from the DJ from the other, officiant
yes,
services, those kind of things, it might be a little bit more of a fair comparison because you've got photographer and video that were
right,
kind of lumped together. We don't know what the division was in
no.
that case. Um, And then we didn't even have the actual, labor and the time before versus the time after and all of that. So
That's another whole
yeah.
conversation. People don't pay for the time you're on the job. It's what you do off the job that determines how far you go on the job. That's a quote actually sitting in my office. Not well, it's not sitting, but it's more like on a wall, you know.
I know what you meant.
It's posted in my office. What you do off the job determines how far you'll go on the job.
Mm-hmm.
I forget where the quote originated from. I'd have to go back and look, but it's such a true quote. It's why I've attended, you know, 8 or so Marbecca method workshops and 3 entertainment experience workshops and done comedy training and you know, lots of things that I've done to help improve my skill set. The 1% solution workshops and so I encourage anyone, if you can, get in a workshop. If you think, well,
Yeah,
I don't know how these people charge that kind of money. Well, they work.
they
They work
do.
hard.
Yeah, for
More than
sure.
likely, they're working at their craft. And if you're not working at your craft, you don't have any room to complain.
Yeah, you can't grow
Sorry.
once you stop trying to grow.
Yeah.
So
So that's our take on the jealousy aspect and
yeah.
complaining or being collaborative. And I think you need to be collaborative and not combative in
Mm-hmm.
regards to working with other people
Good
and what
call.
they charge. It's okay to have that initial gut reaction. I get it. I've been there. But take a step back, look in the mirror. How can I use this for a positive?
Yeah.
I'm Gitomer certified advisor Mitch Taylor.
I'm certified personality trainer Vickie Musni.
It's a great podcast today. I think it went really well.
Good. Yeah.
Check us out with our brand new book, Creating Connections 31 Days to Building Stronger and Deeper Relationships.
You
Go to
can find out more about that. Yes, creatingconnections.biz.
If you want more information about myself, Sales of Solutions, the workshops we have coming up in Las Vegas this year, you can go to mitchtaylor.net. And for
And
Vickie,
all my stuff you can find at vickiemusni.com. But I've got workshops coming up in Phoenix on February 11th, which is a Thursday, and Monday, the 14th of March in Las Vegas.
thank you for watching today. We'll see you next time.
Have a
Bye.
great day.